Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk It Out with Pascal. I'm your host, Sangalang, or you can call me Mateo.
Joining him today is me, Mikaella.
In this episode, we will talk about anxiety. We have been through a lot since the pandemic, and I know some of you have heard about or even experienced anxiety. For starters, what even is anxiety? How do we deal with it? What are the factors affecting and causing it? How is it diagnosed? What are the effects? We'll answer these questions throughout the podcast, so get your popcorn or even wipes and listen thoroughly in this episode of Talk It Out with Pascal. In addition, we are not professionals and are not officially diagnosed yet with anxiety, but we will base it on our experiences as a student and also base it on the information that we gathered. Oh, and by the time that we are recording this, I have a sore throat, so bear with me, everyone.
And with that, please do not use this amateur podcast by two 15-year-olds as a way to tell if you have anxiety or not. We're not even sure ourselves, to be honest, but we wanted to share our experiences with everyone and maybe give some advice. So please sit back and enjoy our mini podcast. Alright, getting back on track, how about we talk about what anxiety is? A lot of people mistake it as simple shyness and don't really realize that it's not just as simple as that. Sure, everyone experiences the occasional anxiety in their life, be it during big events or during a really important exam, but these are just mostly temporary and go away once the situation is over. According to a health information website, for people with anxiety disorders, the anxious feeling they get does not go away as easily and can become very overwhelming.
I agree with you, Mixa. But for me, I'm not diagnosed with anxiety, but I am currently experiencing typical effects that a person with anxiety has. So I know that some of you know or have experienced this overwhelming feeling that you cannot explain. I've also experienced that too, and it has ruined my everyday thoughts. Lumala na siya at the point where I overthink every action that I made and made me question myself. What if I did something wrong? Will they make fun of me? So I often stay silent due to my mindset. Yes, overthinking. That is another topic to discuss, but may also be another effect of anxiety. Another experience for me is that I have this abnormal feeling that every time there is an occasion, like very simple occasions, for example, going to school, recitations, etc., I feel like vomiting, especially when I'm full.
Man, it really just do be like that sometimes, huh? But I do sympathize with your experiences. It really makes it hard to do all your normal everyday routines with that unsettling and overwhelming feeling always looming over you. Like Mateo, I am also not officially diagnosed, but I do experience many moments where I am almost sure that it's not just that your usual everyday shyness or nervousness. For example, I don't like walking around anywhere alone. Weird. Especially in crowded places. I always feel like everyone is looking at me and judging me, even though I know that I've done nothing to really warrant their attention on me. I feel their stares even though no one's looking. I hear their judging comments even though they are only talking about things unrelated to me amongst themselves. It just it's very unnerving. I know that these are just in my head, but that voice in the back of my mind is just very good at convincing me that they're real, and honestly, I can't do much to stop it. Unfortunately. And this feeling applies to everything I do. Eating, talking, standing, even just recording this. And this podcast makes me feel like I'm being judged. It makes me want to get away and just sit in a corner until the voices stop, if they do at all. That's why I always try to have someone I know with me, because it helps silence the voice and actually allows me to relax and enjoy myself a bit. Though it doesn't last that long. It wasn't always like this. But at some point, it just happened, got worse. And I don't know why. I could probably go more into detail actually, but maybe next time.
We really got it hard, huh? But yes, we must also seek professional help in order to avoid any more problems. It is very hard to open up to someone and talk about their feelings. I'm even having difficulties doing this topic, but I want to face it. I'm sure that some of the audience might get inspiration from this podcast and even get better. Having someone to support me is one of the most important things to do. Even little steps can make a difference, so do not force progression and healing. Take your time. So, I guess that you have noticed that I often stutter. Stuttering is also strongly associated with anxiety, especially when talking to someone. Being tense, nervous all the time, excessive sweating, and fear of being humiliated are all signs of it. But of course, once again, we are not professionals and cannot self-diagnose ourselves with anxiety. I feel like need ko ulit mag-share ng experience. So like, during our commercial activity, take note that this was individual. I had to present in front of the class. While presenting, my classmates noticed that my hands were shaking horribly. I also realized it and I felt a little insecure, although I was a bit glad that I finished early. Even little changes in our body, the way we move, talk, and our facial expressions may relate to anxiety or other mental disorders. So, Mix, how do you deal or cope with anxiety?
Ah, tough question. Sorry about that. I think I cope with it through a lot of different things actually. Whenever I'm feeling anxious, I unconsciously play with the ring on my finger or maybe with the hem of my shirt. Or I listen to music and just do a lot of other stuff. Even just taking deep breaths help. They help me calm down and focus my mind, gather my thoughts and move away from the anxious ones. Very helpful. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But, my coping mechanisms probably don't work for everybody. So Mateo, what are some ways and strategies you know that can help with coping with anxiety?
My main thing to do is also listen to music, to be honest. I really love listening to Taylor Swift and other artists since they motivate me to do something whenever I am burnt out. It helps me calm down and enjoy other things in life. According to our song, it's nice to have a friend. By the way, 3 midnights. I would rather say that in order to cope with anxiety, you must find something that you love to do, such as hobbies, and also find something to distract yourself or even find a thing where you can do it passionately. You can also spend time with your friends or your special someone and even relatives.
Great music taste, madam. Love it. And I do agree. Having a hobby or interest to busy yourself with whenever you feel anxious really seems helpful.
Slay. Anyways, yeah, find something you love, enjoy the little things, and take your time.
Great advice, Mateo. Also, people with anxiety can consult their doctors about medication or adopt cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT as a long-term way to help them. And I just want to bring it up, even though I know it's a bit late, seeing as we've talked about coping strategies before this, but what do you think causes anxiety? Where does it stem from? I mean, I'm aware that anxiety can be triggered by a lot of stress buildup as well, but I'm unsure where else.
I think difficult experiences from a person, such as traumas, stress, and more, cause anxiety. These experiences carry person lalo na if malayo nangyari, which causes more impact emotionally and physically. Factors such as exhaustion, pressure, especially for us students academically, thesis and such, change in surroundings, losing someone, feeling lonely, and other physical and mental health problems may also cause anxiety. So I think we covered almost everything. How about another experience you feel comfortable sharing with Mix? I would love to hear it and be there for you. I'm sure that even the audience may relate to you.
Oh boy, looks like it's another time for a trauma dump. Have fun listening to this. Anyway, another experience I'm comfortable with sharing is my first day in high school at a new school. This school. Remember that day, Matt? Fun, wasn't it?
Oh my god, yes. I was so scared, especially because of our news at EC's teacher, Sir Legaspi. I remember him scolding us at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Real. Honestly, I never thought I'd pass that class. But I did, somehow. Now I'm here. Anyway, we were all new then. Just a bunch of kids fresh out of elementary getting put into a class together. I didn't know anyone on the first day, and the only one I knew was put into a different section, which didn't help. Uh, I was scared of approaching anyone because what if they ignored me? Really wouldn't have had the guts to come back to school after that. Kidding. Maybe. And like you mentioned, Sir Legaspi. I was really scared of him back then. Still am now, but not as much. The loud voice and the early morning scoldings really scared me, and most of the time it made me just want to leave the room because, you know, I never really liked or got used to getting scolded or hearing loud, angry voices. They just really scare me a lot. So whenever it was stats time, I'd be nervous and scared as heck. Those mornings really weren't fun. Well, enough about stats. Back to the first day of school discussion. Yeah, it was very scary for me, for others too, probably. And I was worried that I would look intimidating or mean. You know, the thing with like resting mean faces, that kind of thing. Really scary, moving to a new environment and needing to meet new people, make new friends after being very much content with having the same friends you made back in elementary school. But that's life, I suppose, and things change a lot.
I suppose even scary teachers and new changes to surroundings can be really stressful lalo na grade 7 pa lang tayo noon. But times have passed and we became much more mature than before. Anxiety really affects our mindset and how we see people around us, which also influences our daily activities. Even simple things such as playing my favorite game, Valorant, startles me easily. I often scream and wonder, does this relate to anxiety? Well, yes, fears relate to anxiety. Ano ba ba? Ah, yes. I remember one of the most memorable events while in elementary. No, it's not memorable because it was fun, but I think it caused me great trauma. So when I was in grade 6, I got chosen to perform ballet lesson. I really had the worst case of stage fright.
Oh man, wow, that must have been really scary, wasn't it? Did you throw up?
Uh, yes. Every time we had to practice, we had to do it in a lower grade class and present. While I was presenting, I noticed that all of the students were looking at me. I suddenly felt uncomfortable and choked myself. And that's where my vomiting or nauseating, what should I call this? Syndrome, or maybe just an occurrence whenever I'm performing in front of a crowd. So, after a couple of weeks, the final show, Stage in Bayan, started. While going there in the school van, I couldn't talk and felt like someone was choking me. Dumating na kami sa venue and since our school DJ Press were the first to come, we were also the first to perform, diba? I vomited due to nervousness and the thought of performing in front of a large crowd. After that, the performance went well maybe because I threw up all the nervousness and stress as well as thinking that my parents are there to support me. Although we didn't win, so that's one hell of an experience, I guess, or should I say, a traumatizing one.
Man, if I could pat you on the back right now, I would. But I can't. Pat, I guess.
Thanks.
That does seem quite traumatizing. But at least you got through with it in the end. You even remember that there were people there for you to support you at the time, so that's good. Having people there to support you is good for when you're having your bouts of anxiety, or what's called an anxiety or panic attack. Even better if they fully know how to handle the situation to better help you.
True. Every time we feel uncomfortable, it's either fight or flight mode, but in usual cases, we choose to fly or go away and not face our problems. I think that if we ignore our problems, they will go away eventually, but in most cases, they're still there. By the way, people experiencing anxiety must definitely cry. Crying releases all those pent up emotions that you have been storing inside you. It can be used as a coping method and is considered healthy.
But what if I don't want to cry? What if they make fun of me for crying over my problems instead of facing them? As well, you see, dear friend, with that mindset, your problems will only grow bigger. It won't help you at all. Mateo's right. Crying is a healthy outlet for all the pent up emotions you feel. So by suppressing that, you're basically not helping yourself and just letting yourself suffer. Acknowledging your feelings can do so much for you, and letting them out does more. I know it's hard, but do not be afraid of others' judgment. If crying helps, then cry. Leaving your emotions bottled up and unchecked leaves a higher risk of breakdown and could possibly worsen your anxiety, which could cause more problems. Okay, actually, maybe I should stop there. I'm not even sure of what I'm saying anymore. But the moral of the story is cry if you need to. Doesn't matter what other people say.
For reals, be like me who was crying sessions twice per week. No, cause it really does feel good to let out all your emotions if your current situation is not that good. Especially if you have tons of problems to take care of, the pressure and the deadlines coming and you have no motivation. Just stream Taylor Swift. Just kidding. Take one step at a time, buwas mo ng konti-unti, and if you feel like you can do it, stop and rest. Relax for a bit. I suggest you to find a comfort artist. For me, but you can do whatever you want. It is important to tell your close friends or family what you are feeling so that you can get professional help. Mahirap na pa if your anxiety worsens, so let's prevent that from happening.
Exactly. Letting it worsen won't do you any good. So it'll be really great for you to seek help when you can. It's hard and it'll take a while, but baby steps, one step at a time. Eventually it will get better. Not for long, and it'll still come back, but it will get better. And when it comes back, there will be people there for you to help you.
True.
I remember back in elementary, I think I was in 5th grade. Our school had a cosplay party for Halloween and it had a costume contest. Surprisingly, I was chosen to participate for my grade and I honestly didn't want to do it at first. I was scared that I'd mess up or freeze in front of the judges and everyone else watching. But in the end, I ended up joining, albeit a bit reluctantly, after a bit of coaxing from my parents and teacher. And while I was waiting for my turn to go on stage, I was very restless. I remembered my palms feeling sweaty and my legs were shaking.
I feel you, especially when you're about to go on the stage.
The words, "I wanna leave" and "I don't want to do this anymore" kept repeating in my head, but, I didn't want to disappoint anyone, so I stayed there. I kept looking back towards my parents and friends in the audience, and they were always giving me supportive smiles and reassuring gestures, which were really helpful. When it was my turn, I did my best to show off the cosplay I was wearing, and I was still nervous, but I did my best. When I came back to the others, I was shaking all over and felt that I would pass out at any moment. My friends and parents told me I did well, and honestly, those words were pretty much enough to calm me down a bit, but I was still pretty shaky for a while. The other people I competed with all had pretty amazing cosplays too, so I wasn't confident I'd win. So you can imagine the surprise I felt when I did for the secondary grade category, like grade 4 to 6. And I owe it all to the support I got from my friends and family, honestly. Without them, I don't think I could have even stood there. A core memory, to be honest.
Having friends and family there to support you is just simply the best feeling since you are assured that they got your back. Phew, well, that was a journey. To summarize, anxiety is not just a normal feeling but a mental disorder that needs to be prevented. It can ruin your schedule, the activities, and more. It's better to let out your feelings rather than keep it to yourself since they will and surely worsen. Do not gaslight yourself that you can do it when you are physically and mentally exhausted, even if you don't know it.
Remember, it's not just in your head, and it's not easy to just get it together. Having an anxiety disorder is real and it takes a lot of time to heal. Just because someone is invalidating how you feel does not mean you should do the same to yourself. Dealing with and suffering with an anxiety disorder is not easy. That's why you should do something that would help make it a little bit better. Acknowledging your feelings, uh, leaning into the support of others, talking to a professional, anything. Just so you can help yourself because honestly, you deserve it.
Well, that's it, folks. That's one hell of an adventure. I'm sad to say that this episode will come to a close. Let's meet again and discuss new topics. We're glad to have you listen to our experiences and stories.
I hope that some of you learned something from this, maybe had a few realizations as well. I'll see. Good luck with life, listeners. It's tough, but we know you're tougher and that you can overcome whatever hardships you may face. Good luck. And with that, that's the end of our episode. Tune in again next time to hear more interesting topics and stories from our classmates here on Talk It Out with Pascal. Bye bye.